Namaste everybody. Welcome to this video. This is the 10th video in the overall series and introduction to Sanatana Dharma. I hope the title caught your attention a bit. In this and the next one or two videos, we will be talking about, well, names. Let's get started. So there's a famous statement attributed to Shakespeare, what's in a name? Apparently a lot. How? We'll see as we go ahead. Now, this possibly is a concept applicable globally across cultures and especially in Hinduism. This is very true. What? A name, a noun, is actually an adjective. Why is that so? Hindu names are basically derived from the Vedas and are in some way or the other associated with divinity. So any Hindu name basically describes a particular quality of a god or a goddess. This is the reason I say that Hindu names and possibly names all over are actually adjectives. Even if we take nicknames, Chinna, Chotu, Munna, Munni, Motu, Patlu, Lambu, all these basically describe a quality of that particular child or that person, for example, right? Now, let us look at certain ways by which people have received names or people get names. Later in the probably the next or the next to next video, I will talk about a specific aspect which is especially relevant to that last set that you see. Now, let's look at these methods. First of all, there are some people who just want the kid's name to be unique. I remember reading an article where a father named, I think his daughter, Sputnik. The dad just wanted a unique name. His choice is prerogative. As long as the kid has no issue, I think it's okay. Then, people want names of deities. Telugu people especially are, I think, well known for having very long names. Now, why do they have these very long names? Is when the lady is expecting, the in-laws, the parents pray to a god or a goddess. Now, after the child is born, hopefully healthily, the person comes up to that lady, the mother, and says, "You need to put this name in the child's name." So the legal name might just be two, three words along with the surname. The official name, the official word from a divine perspective, basically would be decently long. So this is especially applicable for Telugu people. Then bad names. I hope this third category is not prevalent or at least widely prevalent of now, of late. Earlier, when mortality was very high, imagine there was a mother who lost multiple children for whatever reason, natural calamities or in childbirth itself. They used to name a surviving child in a pretty weird manner. Pentaya. Penta basically means garbage or rubbish. So Pentaya, names like this, basically possibly to ward off an evil eye or kind of to end that streak of bad luck. This was one way of naming children. Then Payal, Gunguru, Nupur, all mean the same thing, by the way, or similar things. Kajal. This way, a kid is named after a specific item that the parent likes, for example. Then, obviously, the very common everywhere, they may be named after a certain relative, typically a grandparent. Now, all these categories, it is the parent's child. So the parents have their full freedom. I am nobody to uh, suggest any name for these categories of parents. But as I said a little while back, a little later, I will talk about a specific section for the last category. Basically, people who want Sanskrit names, meaningful Sanskrit names, possibly unique for their kids. Now, let's first look at why having a proper name is so important in Hinduism. There is this concept called Kalau, or there's a statement, Kalau Samsmaranat Muktihi. It basically means in this age of Kali, Samsmaranat you get Mukti. Basically, by Samsmarana, Samyak Smarana, proper meditation or chanting, you get Mukti or liberation. Samsmarana of what? That is where the importance of the name comes. Nama or the name. So Samsmarana of Nama in this age of Kali is said to be sufficient to bestow liberation. Also, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says this, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yak prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayah. What this means is, Antakale, in the end, when you're about to die, right? Cha mam eva. So let me just first split this out. Antakale cha mam eva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati saha madbhavam yati nasti atra samshayah. Basically, what Krishna is saying is, when a person is about to shed the mortal coil, so to say, is about to die, If that person can think of me, he will attain me without doubt. This is also a reason why the Nama of God is said to be so important. So, one, Kalau Samsmarana Muktihi, then Krishna himself says, he who can think of me, obviously, if he thinks of me or he takes his Nama, it's a name he's taking, right? So, these are two reasons why Hinduism places so much emphasis on having a proper name. Now, what is it behind this Nama of God? So, Nama is the Sanskrit term from which possibly the English word name actually came, right? So, why is this Nama given so much significance in Hinduism? Nama is said to be the sound form of divinity. Sound as in the audible name. So, if there is Rama, now obviously I probably can't see I don't see Rama right now. But when I say Rama, I actually have him with me in the form of sound. This is another reason why so much significance is attached to a name or to a sound. On top of that, names have a lot of hidden meanings and power because of the sound, especially in Sanskrit. Because Sanskrit has this concept of Bija mantras, which we'll touch upon very shortly. Now, let's look at a few common names and then we'll proceed to the later sections of this video and the other video. Let us look at a few meanings of some common names. Govinda. Vinda basically is a ruler, protector, or that person is known through that particular aspect. So Go can mean the sense organs or the indriyas, the rays of the sun, the earth, cattle, obviously cows. So Govinda basically means he who protects or presides or rules over all of these things, not just cows. Krishna can mean he who is dark, he who attracts. Krishna or Akrashana, Krishna actually is related to that. So Krishna is somebody he who attracts, and for example, he holds everything in its place. The entire creation is held in its place by the power of attraction of Krishna. It can also mean Sat Chit Ananda. This is the defining or this is the definition of divinity in Hinduism: consciousness or existence, consciousness, and bliss. We'll touch upon this a little later. Vishnu basically means he who pervades everything. He is literally present in everything. Vaishnavi, the feminine form, also means the same thing. Vasudeva, interestingly, Vasudeva is the only name that is taken in the Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, Krishna says God or me or something, but Vasudeva is the only name that Krishna takes in the Bhagavad Gita. Now, Vasudeva, from a general name perspective, can mean the son of Vasudeva. However, Vasudeva can also mean, Deva basically means he. So the gods are said to be beings of light, of illumination. So Vasudeva basically means he who resides in everything and shines brilliantly. That can be an interpretation of that name. Gayatri. Let's look at two meanings. Gataram Trayate Gayatri. She who protects the singer. Now singing or Ganam or the Gita here basically means Gataram. He who sings basically means chanting that mantra with the meaning in mind. Okay. It can also mean Gayan Trayate the Gayatri. She who protects the life forces. We are said to have 10 pranas or 10 prana vayus. I'll try to touch upon them a little later. So Gayatri is the one who protects the life forces of the person that invokes them. Okay. Let's look at a few other ones. Now, Rudra. Rudra actually can have two opposite meanings. One, he who makes you cry, Rodayati, he who makes you cry because of, so imagine if I say that God has made me cry, it is because of something I have done. I shouldn't blame him. I have done something wrong in the past. He makes me cry. He's basically a karma phala pradata. He's giving me the fruits of my karma. It can also mean Rut Dravayati iti Rudraha. Rut, I think, if I'm not mistaken, means sorrow in this context. So he who liquefies sorrow, or he who removes sorrow. So Rudra actually means both. He who will make you cry, and two, who will stop you from crying, both. Shiva. Shiva basically means he who is Mangalakara, auspicious. It can also mean he who sleeps or sits or resides in everything, like Vasudeva and Vishnu. Shankara, Sham Karoti iti Shankaraha, he who does Shubh, who causes happiness to everything. That is what Shankara, one meaning of Shankara is. Ram. Now we are coming more towards the Bija Mantra concept. Now, Rama can mean he who makes people happy or he who is happy. Remember that Sat Chit Ananda, bliss, that concept of happiness is Rama. He who makes the entire world happy is also Rama. Now, the word Rama itself is made up of three letters, obviously, Ra, A, Ra, and Ma. Ra, A, Ma. Now, these three letters are in a way related to Bija mantras. Bija mantra, Bija basically means seed. So, crudely, Bija mantras are like seeds which have a lot of power inside them. Now, the thing with the Nama, or in fact, the thing with the Bija mantra is one should not chant or recite a Bija mantra without proper initiation from a guru. However, that restriction is not there for a Nama. Whatever you're doing, sitting, sleeping, drinking, dancing, walking, whatever, doesn't matter. Whatever you are doing, you can take a Nama, and that Nama can have hidden Bija mantras which I may not even be aware of. But by taking that Nama, I get the benefit of chanting that Bija mantra without the precautions, so without taking the precautions I need to take, or without the initiation I need for a Bija mantra. Let me give you a small example. If I take one more example, in the Lalita Sahasranama, imagine I will also touch upon what the Sahasranama, the concept of Sahasranama in the next video. The first line of the Lalita Sahasranama has three namas, three names: Shri Mata, Shri Maharajni, Shrimat Simhasaneswari. Now, Srimat Simhasaneshwari. If you look at the first three words, Shri Mata, Shri Maharajni, Srimat Simhasaneshwari, when you pronounce that name, or when you pronounce this, you read this something called Sahasranama, you are actually saying Shreem, 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 which is the Bija mantra. Now, I cannot chant that Bija mantra unless a guru tells me what to do, how to do, and without a certain purity, cleanliness, without those I can't. But the moment I read this, I don't have those many restrictions. Obviously, if I'm reading a Sahasranama, I still need certain basic cleanliness. But the moment, imagine I'm just sitting here, imagine I'm waiting for somebody. If I simply keep saying Shri Mata, Shri Mata, Shri Mata, Shri Mata mentally, I am actually pronouncing that Bija mantra without violating any rules, because now it is in the form of a Nama. So this is the reason why the Nama, or the name of God or Goddess, is given so much importance in Sanatana Dharma in Hinduism. In the interest of time, I will stop this particular video here. In the next one or two videos, I will touch upon this concept of Sahasranamam. What is the Sahasranamam? And also remember that last category of people who want Sanskrit names but are making a lot of mistakes, so to say. So I have a certain, that's okay. I don't think I should call it advice, but I have a certain thing in mind which I would like to bring to the notice of those people. I'll cover these two aspects in the next one or two videos. Thank you for watching this video. Namaste.